Hello there, NFC South preview. Dave Scholler, tell them like it is. Second preview. The first one by basically choosing which division we think is going to be the worst in the NFL this year, and that was AFC South and NFC South. Tough debate, even though the AFC South is two quality teams. I guess the Bucs make it a little bit better, but Panthers and the Falcons pretty bad. But I forget, maybe the Panthers could get better. Maybe the Saints will still have something. So I chose them as a better division because the Texans and the Panthers, I think, Texans and the Jags, I feel like are worse than the other teams. So, well, maybe the Falcons will even be worse, but I feel like this is the second worst division. So we're gonna try to do that in order. But we're going from there, and big stuff today. NFC South. I feel like this division's already clinched. I feel like this is a division that you probably get the best odds to pick a winner. I feel like the magic number's already there for the Bucs. Not because the Bucs are great, but because I feel like the rest of the division. I feel like the Falcons big step backwards, obviously. Bucs, no Sean Payton there. Maybe they'll be all right. Panthers, I mean, McCaffrey and Baker got to stay healthy, and of course the offensive line, replacing two Pro Bowlers for Tom Brady and Gronk, and got to keep Gronk. Well, we're gonna miss Gronk. Got to keep Brady upright. So I feel like the NFC South is going to be the second worst division, but who knows? Well, Chris Carter today, all he does is catch touchdowns. Thanks, buddy Ryan, for cutting him. But Chris Carter always says it's the best thing that ever happened to him because he was drinking a little too much, which is seems to be the way. But take off these Viking shades for a minute here. Get back into the other gear. And, here we are. Funny stuff here. So my friend John Magrino, he tells me that they got to replace two Pro Bowl offensive linemen, or else Brady's not going to be able to do it. That's where I guess we start. But let's look at the schedule first. I'm a big schedule guy, and when you look at this, the NFC South interconference plays the NFC West, which is a pretty tough division. All the Hawks, I'm sure, will take a big step backwards. And depends what time of year you get the Cards. I mean, the Niners, I think, will be okay, but we got to see what the new quarterback does. They play the AFC North, which in the old days would have been really, really rough. But, with the Ravens and the Bengals, I'm sure that's okay. The Browns, depends when you play them now that we know that it's 11-game suspension, 11 out of 17, weird number with Deshaun Watson. Let me just say something about that. I wish the NFL would stop making these decisions. I mean, if the law says he could do this, this, and this, and I'm not saying what he did is okay, whatever the law rules is what should be. And that way, take the NFL off the back burner. If the man's going to serve time, then obviously he misses football games. But if he's not serving time, then he should be playing. I'm not saying what he did is deserving of that, but if you're not going to if you're not going to serve time, I don't see how the players union accepts that. I know they're trying to do it for PR and publicity and how it looks and all, but at the same time, if he's not going to prison, he has a right to go play ball. If you don't feel he has a right to play ball, then put him in prison. So either way, it's a little bit wild, but we'll get to that later. And then, of course, the 17th games versus the AFC West. And then, of course, each team in each division, the first, second, third, and fourth place team, will play teams with the same positioning as them in their own conference in different divisions. So could be interesting. But again, this division I do feel comes down to the Bucs. It's theirs to win or lose. And like I said, I can't think of too many divisions over the years where it's been more true than this one. This is going to be, I feel like I can't imagine what the odds are for the Bucs not to win the division. We'll get to that in a second. But the thing is, I'm really rooting for Baker hard. I feel like he got a bad rap. He played hurt, which we know most athletes today won't play even when they're not feeling perfect. I think Baker had a great year the year before. I think if McCaffrey stays healthy, he and the Panthers, I think, will be okay. Although the Panthers had a record number of drops last year. I know Donald wasn't good, but even in the Viking game with them, the Panthers were just awful. So I feel like Baker's going to get some wins down there in that division. If he could capitalize on the Falcons being very down and the Bucs not being the same, maybe he could scratch out 3 wins in the division and go from there. And we're going to look at their schedule right now because the rest of their schedule isn't entirely brutal like some of these other divisions are. It's rough. So let's go down to the NFC South here. And here we are. The Bucs. The Bucs obviously have their own division schedule, which I think is going to be I think the Bucs going to be one of those teams with a really good record, but not a really good team. And I think they'll be bouncing the first round of the playoffs, maybe. But after the usual suspects in the division, at home they got the Ravens. That's gonna be tough. Bengals, very tough. Packers, Chiefs, Rams, and Seahawks. They got to get that Seahawk game, obviously, but so they at least get 4 wins at home. Away, after the usual suspects, you got the Cardinals, the Browns, the Cowboys, the Steelers, and the Niners. So I think their away schedule is better than their home schedule for them. I know everybody'd rather play at home, but geez, that home schedule is brutal. So the Bucs, they're picked to win 11.5. I mean, I think that might be a little high, but then again, you put the outside chance of maybe going 6-0 in this bad division. It's definitely possible. But I would take them at under 11.5. But I'm not sure what anybody else feels about there. But I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be tough for them. I still think they're that good a team. But again, that division has built-in wins, so it's always one of those things you're hiding. By the way, speaking of divisions and stuff, here in New York, it's August 20th today. Yankee fans are ready to jump off the building here. It's getting crazy. Leads down to 8. I don't think they're in any trouble. But at the sad point, though, is in Yankee and Met fans are crazy on these fan groups. You just read how crazy they are and spoiled they are. Would you sign up on April 1st to being 8 games up on August 20th? Everybody would say yes, because most people felt this was a 4th place team. I did not feel it was a 4th place team. I felt it was maybe a 1st or a 2nd place team. But the thing is, you're 8 games up. Doesn't matter how you got there. Now, the key question you have to ask yourself about them is the early stretch who they are, or the this last stretch who they are? And of course, the answer is in between. It's neither. But that's a story for another day. Saints, like I said, the usual suspects, and then they got the Ravens and the Bengals at home. That's gonna be tough. Raiders and Rams at home. So the Saints home schedule is ridiculous as well. My Vikings and the Seahawks away. They've got the usual suspects, and then they got Cardinals, Browns, Eagles, Steelers, and Niners. It's the same basic schedule that the Bucs have that way. It's definitely gonna be interesting. They're favored at 7.5. This one is probably one of the harder ones to pick. I would probably take them under 7.5, only because that home schedule is brutal. And even though their word schedule is okay, I still feel like it's not a great team. Jameis is going to win you a couple, but Jameis is also going to give a couple away, and we'll see if the Notre Dame QB is the backup, comes in and gets to play or not. And we'll see how that is without Sean Payton. We'll see. Falcons 5.5 predicted wins. I definitely would think they might be under. Besides the usual suspects, they got the Cardinals, the Bears, the Browns, the Chargers, Steelers, and San Fran at home. Away, they have the Ravens, the Bengals, Rams, Seahawks, and the Washington Redskins. Stay slept. And basically, I don't think they're really a good football team. Losing Matt Ryan, I think there's a total rebuild here, but you never know. It depends what kind of coach we get. We'll see how we do. And we'll see how they do and how they handle it. And sometimes these years they shock you, and sometimes these teams are fun to coach. Panthers at 6.5. I'm going to go over if I was the Panthers. Like I said, we got to see if McCaffrey could ever stay healthy. He's like, he's like the Kevin Durant or the Kyrie Irving of football. He just never stays healthy. So what good is he? Like Barr from the Vikings and Hunter from the Vikings as well. Never stays healthy. So it's a real problem. But I would take them over 6.5. Besides the usual suspects at home, they got the Cardinals, the Browns, the Broncos, the Lions, Steelers, and the Niners. That home schedule is not bad. On the road, though, brutal. You're not beating the Bengals on the road. You're not beating the Ravens on the road, the Rams on the road either. But I feel like the Panthers are going to maybe get 7 or 8 wins. And I think that maybe there's an outside shot that they could maybe give the Bucs just a little bit of a run for their money. Like I said, the Bucs, my man John there, he says that the Bucs have placed those two offensive linemen, all-pro offensive linemen, and that's definitely true. It's hard to replace those linemen. I feel like that's the position that's needed the most in the NFL. I feel like, it's just one of those situations where, you can never have enough linemen. It's one of those things. But replacing Jensen and Marpet or 2 Pro Bowlers will decide whether Brady stays healthy or not. And we'll see. See how Tom does. And we'll go from there. But like I said, to me, the whole key is Baker and McCaffrey for the division against the Bucs. And we got to see how Todd Bowles does. I believe Todd Bowles, we'll see how he did. He did 1 good year with the Jets and 1 bad year with the Jets. But then again, you get 2-year contracts in New York, which tells you what's wrong with, 3-year contract he had with New York. But that tells you what's wrong with New York. You guys getting 2 and 3 years. You never get a chance to really finish out the job. Look at Ben McAdoo for a change. Takes the team 11-5. Has a bad year after that. Then, How dare he try to coach up, get Eli out of the lineup, and then he just basically crucified the man, threw him on a cross, and all they didn't do was stick Barabbas next to him. They would have been a total crucifixion, but they didn't do that. Like I said, I think the Bucs are going to be a big chance to win a division. Let's take a look at some numbers here. If you take a good look, the Bucs are minus 270 to win the division. Saints are plus 310. Panthers are plus 1,000. And the Falcons plus 2,800. I would definitely, take away from that Panthers. That's not a bad one. The prediction for the betting news basically is Bucs 13-4. I think that's a little high. Saints 6-11. Panthers, I definitely think it'll be better than 5-12. Falcons 3-14. That sounds about right. I guess you could basically fall into 3 wins. And you never see a team get predicted win 1 or 0 games, and sometimes that happens. So sometimes that's tough. But obviously, Julio Jones going to the Bucs not going to hurt. The Saints last season, a 4th ranked overall. They were number 1 in red zone defense. They had the worst passing attack in the NFL. We'll see what happens. The kid Book is going to back up, Jameis Winston. Jameis will give him plenty of chances. Michael Thomas, so hopefully he comes back to the offense. He has him 6-11 here. We'll see how they do. Panthers, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. Hopefully that's up to snuff and you get rid of that. But basically, I don't know how basically McCaffrey isn't in the write-up for the Panthers. If you're not going to talk about McCaffrey, you're just not going to you don't even understand where you're at. I mean, it's not about Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. You got to get McCaffrey back there and make sure that he's healthy. Falcons, not much to talk about. Calvin Ridley, I guess, is the best player they have on the team. We'll see how they do at the quarterback spot. And, Marcus Mariota is probably going to start. It's amazing that when you go back and you look, you got Jameis and Mariota. And then the other year, you got all the other studs. The kid from the Cardinals who never panned out, never even got a shot. Sam Darnold didn't really do much. So those quarterback drafts, Jameis, I think, has shown instances where he's done all right. Mariota had some decent moments. Darnold hasn't. It's just been really, really, really funny to watch. Baker's had his moments, but the quarterback draft for those years, very, very, very shaky. And that goes back to the original point that I was talking about before, that I think sometimes the best quarterback gets overrated. Just because you're the best quarterback doesn't mean you're a good quarterback for the NFL. And that seems to be something that these GMs haven't figured out yet. And sometimes that's why they're not at this job very long. But either way, I'd like to wrap that up on telling it like it is. NFC South preview. We'll be back a couple of days with the 3rd worst division, which we'll have to determine who that is. It's always tough to figure it out sometimes. So we got to look at that, see if we can figure out who that is going to be. So we'd like to thank you, Spotify, Apple, Starting to Grow, having fun. If anybody wants to come on, let us know. Happy to have you on. Again, Dave Show on telling like it is. Take your time.